Lookout Mountain is a mountain ridge located at the northwest corner of the U.S. state of Georgia, the northeast corner of Alabama, and along the southern border of Tennessee at Chattanooga. Lookout Mountain was the scene of the last battle of the Cherokees during the Nickajack Expedition, which took place in the 18th century, as well as the November 24, 1863 Battle of Lookout Mountain during the American Civil War. Origins. The name Lookout Mountain is said to have come from General Andrew Jackson's troops, but more likely comes from the Cherokee term for two mountains looking at each other. Geography. Northern and eastern slopes and summit. Lookout Mountain and Sand Mountain make up a large portion of the southernmost end of the Cumberland Plateau. The area was lifted from an ancient sea and worn down by erosion for millions of years. The summit, called High Point, is located just east of Thompsonville in Walker County, Georgia, with an elevation of 2,392 feet above sea level. The foothills of the mountain extend into Chickamauga and Chattanooga National Military Park. The caves of Ruby Falls are in Lookout Mountain, and the rock formations of the City of Rocks attraction are situated on the ridge. The area is home to the Lookout Mountain Incline Railway, Covenant College, and a hang gliding school. Lookout Mountain is one of the Chattanooga area's most visited tourist attractions. Civil War-related landmarks include Point Park, operated by the National Park Service, and the Craven's House. Nearby are Georgia's Cloudland Canyon and Cloudland Canyon State Park. Southern and western slopes. The southwestern section of Lookout Mountain is in Alabama. The Little River, in Little River Canyon on the mountain, is the only river that begins and ends entirely on top of a mountain. The river flows over the DeSoto Falls in DeSoto State Park. The Noccalula Falls Park, featuring a pioneer village showcasing several 19th-century homes, is located at the southern terminus of Lookout Mountain, near Gadsden, Alabama. Local legend claims that the 90-foot fall's namesake, Noccalula, jumped to her death because she could not marry the man she loved. Whitewater sports and rock climbing are this area's key attractions. 7 states from the Rock City Point. It was once claimed that 7 U.S. states could be seen: Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, and Alabama. In reality, on very clear days, some mountains in the Knoxville area of Tennessee can be seen at a distance of about 100 miles. However, the curvature of the Earth's surface lowers anything in Kentucky, South Carolina, or Virginia to below the horizon. Sunset Rock. Located on the northwest side of Lookout Mountain, Sunset Rock is a popular trailhead and tourist stop. It is part of the Chickamauga and Chattanooga Military State Park, the largest and oldest Civil War national park. Once known as Point Lookout, Sunset Rock provides a view of the Tennessee River, Signal Mountain, and Prentice Cooper State Forest. The 100-foot cliff and moderate temperatures invite heavy traffic for its many climbing routes, which were completed in 1960. Sunset Rock is mainly sandstone, making for easier routing and climbing. Route development continued through the 1960s and 1970s. In the 1980s, route has pushed the grades ever higher. Climbing here is especially popular in the autumn months due to cooler weather. Sunset Rock is attractive to Civil War enthusiasts due to its history. It has a Tennessee Historical Commission marker at the head of the trail, describing its Civil War battle history. Confederate Generals Braxton Bragg and James Longstreet used Sunset Rock as a lookout in 1863, where they were able to track the movement of the Union troops as they entered Lookout Valley. It is claimed that, unknown to Longstreet, the Union troops could see him on Sunset Rock from the valley, where they were able to decipher the Confederate code, giving them the ability to anticipate the next moves of the Confederates. This resulted in the Battle of Wauhatchie, in which the Confederate Army attempted to remove the Union forces from the river and block the supply lines. The attempt was unsuccessful, with the consequence that the Union forces were able to lay siege to Chattanooga. History. Native Americans and Lookout Mountain. A branch of Cherokee Native Americans lived in Chattanooga, the Chickamauga people. The Chickamauga called the mountain Chattanooga, hence the name of the city. Research suggests the mountain was inhabited, although no physical evidence has been found. On top of the mountain, the pattern of boulders suggest lanes or walls were once there. Revolutionary War and aftermath. Legend has it that during the Revolutionary War, a battle between the forces of John Sevier and those of Chief Dragging Canoe of the Chickamauga Cherokee took place on Lookout Mountain. Archaeologist and ethno-historian Raymond Evans has asserted that such a battle could not have taken place. However, a battle between Sevier's militia forces from the state of Franklin and those of Dragging Canoe did occur there in August 1788. Settlements. It was reported that on August 28, 1823, Daniel S. Butrick and William Chamberlain arrived at Lookout Mountain to perform missionary work with the Indians. After the Trail of Tears, land taken from the Indians was purchased by the highest bidder without a lottery of land parcels. This method of distributing land caused much of Lookout Mountain to be owned by a few wealthy Chattanooga families. The aptly named Summertown, located on top of the mountain, was barely accessible from a small rutted turnpike which had been built in 1852 by Colonel James A. Whiteside. Whiteside, a native of Danville, Kentucky, owned a summer home which he converted into a hotel with several cottages. Naturalists who came to the area and visited the summit, such as Bradford Torrey, thought the cottages spoiled the environment and made it look like a cheap resort. Whiteside had purchased much of the land on the mountain's summit. Another wealthy Chattanoogan, Robert Cravens, had purchased most of the land on the side of the mountain. Cravens was also instrumental in developing the area, and moved into the house he built in 1855. Within a few years, about 25 families regularly summered on the mountain. Lookout Mountain's Sunset Rock was once the home to the photo shop of J.B. Lynn. After the Union forces under Major General Joseph Hooker took over the mountain, Lynn gained access to Sunset Rock. He built a small shack there and named it Gallery Point Lookout. In December 1863, he and his brother began taking photographs of many war commanders and officers, as well as wealthy civilians in the area. They became very successful with these pictures. The Gallery Point Lookout House is no longer in existence, but many of Lynn's photographs still exist. Civil War. On November 24, 1863, the Battle of Lookout Mountain was fought on the slopes of the mountain. The majority of hand-to-hand combat took place near Craven's house. Lookout Mountain's shape and location can in some conditions cause a unique weather phenomenon in the area. After dawn, fog will sometimes descend from the cooler mountain top and stop about halfway down. Such an event took place the day of the battle and is the reason for its romanticized name, the Battle Above the Clouds. The battle was won by Union forces, enabling them to lift the Confederate siege of Chattanooga. Post-Civil War yellow fever epidemic. When cases of yellow fever began to increase in the United States, the Chattanooga population believed that the city was immune to any possibility of an epidemic because of its mountain climate. In 1878, the death of 2 individuals from the disease encouraged a widespread panic, causing an estimated 12,000 individuals to leave the city. A large percentage of this group went up the mountain, believing the climate would offer some protection against the disease. After the epidemic passed, many people complained about the inconvenient and complicated travel up the mountain, and the St. Elmo Turnpike was created to help with access to the mountain. Early in the 1900s, Lookout Mountain was incorporated as a town. 20th-century tourist boom entrepreneurs began marketing their own attractions in the 1910s and 1920s. Instead of serving just as a resort area for the wealthy, rich businessmen settled permanently on the mountain. Garnet Carter, J.B. Pound, O.B. Andrews, and Leo Lambert were a few of the more successful entrepreneurs who created their own attractions. Instead of making their money off of the tourists' room, board, or transportation, the area's natural attractions were enhanced. Sites that had long been popular were bought, highly developed, and marketed. The popular Ruby Falls Cavern has been a tourism mainstay for 80 years. Today, tourist attractions include Rock City has multiple different events that occur over the course of the year and rock trails. These rock trails include Lover's Leap, Balance Truck and Fat Man's Squeeze. Battle of Chattanooga Museum. The museum offers insight of the Battle of Lookout Mountain through soldier figurines and topographical maps. Ruby Falls, view to waterfall from inside the mountain and Lookout Mountain Cave. Incline Railway, a National Historic Site. The incline is 72.7%. Fairyland Caverns, underground cave which displays fairy tale creatures and a castle.